Hello, I'm your Superhero Critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome. And this is a look back at the 90s. The 90s were filled with amazing cartoons on Kids WB and Fox Kids, from Batman and Superman to Gargoyles and Spider-Man, but one of the most notable ones that came from Marvel was X-Men the Animated Series. The show would debut with the two-part Night of the Sentinels in October and November of '92, and would be the second attempt at an X-Men cartoon when Pride of the X-Men was not picked up. Which I already have an episode of One Season Wonders on if you want to look at that. I really should get back into those. Kinda got sidetracked from doing that. The pilot would adapt multiple comic stories such as the Mutant Registration Act from the days of Futures Past, and Jubilee's first appearance in Uncanny X-Men 244. The episodes would be written by Mark Edens and directed by Larry Houston. So, with the proposed sequel coming out on Disney+, let's take a look at the first two episodes of the 1990s X-Men, the animated series. Night of the Sentinels. We open up on Sabretooth being destructive and dealing with cops as a news report talks over it. We then go to Jubilee's foster parents who are concerned that Jubilee may get hurt for being a mutant, and her father gave her information to a mutant registry in order to help. Jubilee overhears all of this and is distraught as a Sentinel begins to track her down.
Kidding? Look what she did to the VCR just by touching it.
You know, I did the same thing when I was a kid, but that involved me touching peanut butter. The Sentinel continues to track Jubilee, finding an empty bed as her mother screams, and we see that she's gone to the mall in depression, with the Sentinel hot on her trail. Oh, now the cop doesn't shoot. Jubilee's stress eventually leads to her blowing up the arcade machine.
Do you know how much that game costs?
Yeah, $0.25.
The sass is strong with this one. She is eventually run out of the arcade, crashing into Storm and Rogue when she's not looking. The Sentinel breaks into the mall, causing a mass panic as he goes straight after Jubilee. Storm and Rogue go straight into hero mode in order to help save her, showing off their powers. And that right there is the only time that morphing sequence is ever used in the series, so I don't know why it's put here. Storm catches a falling Jubilee as Rogue begins to beat the crap out of the robot. Gambit learns what's going on and heads to join the fight as the girls are hit with lasers. Gambit saves Jubilee before he's eventually overpowered by the Sentinel, causing Jubilee to save his life as well. The Sentinel releases a gas bomb, knocking Jubilee out as she collapses into Cyclops' arms before he shoots the head off the robot. Jubilee wakes up in the X-Mansion and breaks herself out, looking for a way out. Seeing Beast doing science stuff and Morph being a comedian transforming into different people from the television. And now it's the 2020s, and our president won't do a goddamn thing to help its peoples. So yeah, nothing's changed. Jubilee is freaked out when Morph changes into her, running into the team room, turning all the monitors off, alerting Jean and Xavier to her presence. She is then chased into the danger room where Gambit and Wolverine are training. Jubilee shoots Wolverine off of Gambit, which Morph and Beast found hilarious. When in doubt, bring out the claw! I only have one of these. Ignore my dumb joke. Storm takes Jubilee to the roof of the mansion to explain what mutants are and who the X-Men are, while Xavier shows his group how the Sentinels track Jubilee down. As Gyrick begins tracking her down while another Sentinel attacks her while she's trying to make sure her parents are okay. The X-Men then realize they need to go to the Mutant Registry building to do something about the mutants being hunted. Cyclops has way too many questions for Charles before Jean lets them know that Jubilee is missing, and Wolverine decides to head after her. Respect the claw! The X-Men get to the registry as Rogue tells her backstory, as they begin to infiltrate the building, taking out the lone security guard with ease, but have to use Beast's agility to avoid the laser grid as he turns it off. Ending part 1 as Cyclops' group gets company and Storm's group almost opens the door to waiting guards, but just knocks the door down into them instead. With guards in full alert, the X-Men do what they can to defend themselves without harming anyone, while the ones on the inside begin to destroy all of the mutant files. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Gyrick is probing Jubilee for the information on herself, mutants, and the X-Men. Trask is upset over the fact that Gyrick has kidnapped the mutant without his knowledge, as the X-Men continue to destroy the files. During the escape, Rogue gets friendly with the soldier.
Me down, you flying freak!
Very poor choice of words.
During the rest of the escape attempt, 3 Sentinels appear and Morph is alluded to being killed. Wolverine is furious that they didn't go back for him, while Cyclops stands by his choices as the leader. Logan then destroys Scott's car as Jean cries over him, blaming himself.
If that doesn't scream a poly relationship, I don't know what does.
We then get a semi-flashback showing us what actually happened to Morph, and Beast has the Sentinels overpowered them, and Cyclops is forced to make a retreat despite an angry Wolverine that is drained by Rogue's powers, while Beast is taken by Gyrick. The news begins to cover the registry attack as Logan is trying to enjoy alone time, only to be hassled by a bunch of mutant haters, who also mock Scott when he tries to talk to Logan.
And that's what you get for being a bully.
Scott promises to help Logan find the main Sentinel base while the President pulls Gyrick's funding, which pisses Gyrick off. Scott goes to see Jubilee's parents to let them know what's going on, but her father mistakenly let Gyrick know where they are, as a Sentinel attacks Scott.
That is so 90s.
The Sentinel heads back to get repaired with the Blackbird right on its tail, and the Sentinel crashes, allowing Jubilee to escape after she blows a hole in the wall. Cyclops saves her once she's surrounded by Sentinels as our heroes do what they do best and begin taking the robots out one by one, including Wolverine taking one down in honor of Morph. The episode then ends with Jubilee leaving her foster home as she joins the X-Men at the X-Mansion, knowing it's the best choice for her.
And that was the pilot to X-Men the Animated Series. This show is amazing.
The series would last for a total of 76 episodes across the 5 seasons, with the final season drastically dropping in quality, but it was still the longest running cartoon under the Marvel Comics animated banner until the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon dethroned it in 2015. The series would spawn multiple video games as well as a 53-issue comic book series and a second comic series in 2015. The show has also become part of the MCU, as an announced sequel has been announced for 2023 on Disney+.
So there is nothing more that I could say about this series. If you haven't watched it, you really need to, because not only does it have a killer soundtrack, but it's got great acting, great story, way better iterations of different X-Men stories, and to top it all that, Wolverine is not the focus of every episode like he is in every movie. That being said, respect the claw! I'm your superhero critic, and I'll stay super as long as you stay awesome.
Why are my legs short? Why am I in a dress? In what universe Is this any approximation? One thing at a time. Focus on what I'm doing, then get new clothes. God fucking damn it.